You know that social media feed you scroll through every single day? Well, here's the thing. It isn't really yours anymore. Yeah, a quiet revolution has happened like right under our noses, and it's completely changed the game for how we see the world online. The truth is, your feed is now controlled by artificial intelligence.
I mean, just think back to how it used to be, right? Your feed was pretty simple. It was just a chronological stream of posts from the people you actually chose to follow. You were in charge. But now, it's a totally different story. It's an AI-engineered reality. And it's not built on your connections anymore. Oh no. It's built on this incredibly complex data profile that the platform has created about you. We've literally gone from being the curators to being the curated.
So the big question is, how on earth did this happen? Let's dig into this quiet takeover, this massive shift in control, from you to the algorithm. And you know, what's so fascinating here is just how gradual this whole thing was. This wasn't some big overnight event. It all kicked off with Facebook, way back in 2009. They were the first to start prioritizing relevance over chronology. And then, throughout the 2010s, pretty much every other major platform just fell in line. Instagram, YouTube, you name it. By the time Twitter finally made the switch in 2016, the game had completely changed. And now, today, AI curation isn't the exception anymore. It is the absolute rule. Of course, the official story they sold us was all about helping us manage the so-called fire hose of content. They claimed they were just trying to help us see what mattered most. But let's be real. The real goal was all about maximizing engagement. It was about keeping our eyeballs glued to the screen for as long as humanly possible because, well, that's what sells ads. Okay, so if the number one goal is to maximize engagement, how does the AI actually pull it off? This gets us to the very heart of the matter, what we're calling the engagement machine. It really all boils down to one powerful concept, the attention economy. Think of it this way. In this business model, your attention is the actual product being sold. The longer a platform can hold on to it, the more valuable you become to them. And engagement? Well, that's the currency. Every single like, every share, every second you spend watching something, that's what makes this entire system go round. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly illustrates the dark side of optimizing for nothing but engagement. See, the AI isn't programmed to be evil or malicious. It's just programmed to be incredibly effective. And what it learns really fast is that the most powerful emotions, stuff like outrage and fear, are also the most engaging. Nuance, thoughtful debate, honestly, that stuff just doesn't stand a chance. So, how does it get so good at building that perfect feed for you? Well, it's this constant three-step loop. First, it's all about data collection. It hoovers up mountains of data on your behavior, and I mean everything. Not just what you click, but even how long you hesitate on a picture before you scroll past. Then, step two, it uses all that data to build this shockingly detailed psychological profile of you. Your biases, your interests, your insecurities, it's all in there. And finally, step three, it uses that profile to predict and then serve you the exact next piece of content that is most likely to keep you hooked. I mean, the ultimate, purest form of this has to be TikTok's For You page. It's incredible. It's a feed that has almost nothing to do with who you actually follow. It's dictated purely by what the AI thinks you want to see next. You've probably heard the joke that the algorithm knows you better than your therapist, and it's a popular joke because, let's face it, it feels terrifyingly true. It knows exactly what buttons to push to keep you scrolling. Now, this level of personalization, it can feel pretty good in the moment, right? But it comes with some really serious hidden costs. So let's talk about the real price we're all paying for these supposedly free platforms. And that really is the question we have to start asking, isn't it? When you have a system that is designed with one and only one goal in mind, to capture and hold our attention, what are the consequences? What does that do to us as individuals? And what does it do to society as a whole? When you look at the research, it really points to three huge consequences. First up, we're seeing a fragmented, shared reality. Second, there's a serious distortion of our personal identities. And third, and this one's a big one, a total loss of our own autonomy. Okay, so let's start with this idea of a fragmented reality. Because the AI is designed to give you more of what you already like, it ends up just feeding you content that confirms your existing beliefs. It's like building an echo chamber around you brick by brick. Over time, this pushes us all into these little filter bubbles where we almost never see an opposing viewpoint.
You can have two people looking at the exact same app and see completely different, incompatible worlds. And that makes having a real public conversation almost impossible. And look at how quickly this can happen. This is what we call the algorithmic rabbit hole. The algorithm can literally steer someone from watching a totally mainstream video to something way more extreme in just a few clicks. And it's not some grand conspiracy, it's just the machine learning a simple, dangerous lesson. Extreme content is often way more engaging. Then there's the impact on our own identity. Think about the kind of content that gets the most engagement. It's usually the most extreme, right? The most perfect bodies, the craziest wealth, these impossible lifestyles. The AI shows you this stuff, this endless highlight reel, not because it's reality, but simply because it performs well. And the result? We end up comparing our real lives to an AI-curated fantasy, which, as you can imagine, is a perfect recipe for anxiety and feeling like you're not good enough. And that brings us to the really crucial point here, this profound loss of control. Our main window to the world, for a lot of us anyway, is now controlled by these black box algorithms. And they're called that because they're so complex and secretive that often even the engineers who built them can't fully explain why they recommend one thing over another. This is, without a doubt, a staggering transfer of power away from us, the users, and into the hands of just a few giant tech companies.
Okay, I know this all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not hopeless. There are things we can do. So in this final section, let's actually explore if it's possible to reclaim our feeds and maybe, just maybe, take back a little bit of that control.
From everything we're seeing, the solution really has to be a two-pronged attack. On one hand, there are individual actions we can all take. Things like practicing digital literacy, just being aware that your feed is being manipulated, and actively going out and looking for different sources. But honestly, that's not enough on its own. We also need big systemic change. We're talking about regulations that demand real transparency from these platforms and strong data privacy laws that give us back ownership of our own digital lives.
So I want to leave you with a thought. The next time you open up an app and you find yourself just endlessly scrolling, I want you to stop for just 1 second and ask yourself a simple question. Did I choose to see this, or was this chosen for me? Was it chosen by an algorithm whose only job is to keep me right here scrolling? Because just recognizing that we're not really in the driver's seat anymore, well, that's the first and most important step toward demanding something better.